So the first thing you're going to do is to measure out the fabric for your skirt. You'll need to measure this along the selvage of the fabric, which in my case is this white strip of fabric at the bottom, and it needs to be about double your hip measurement. My hip measurement is 40 inches, so I should have cut 80 inches of fabric, but I cut 70, so I'd have enough left over from the top. Next, trace out a top that you already own. If you're using non-stretch fabric, I recommend tracing a non-stretch top. If you have darts, like I do in my top, what you need to do is make sure that the armpit to central test measurement is equal to 1/4 of your whole bust measurement. For me, this was the case, so I didn't need to make any alterations to the pattern. The next thing I did was to lower the neckline and make it wider, because I wanted a wider neckline. You can feel free to alter your top as much or as little as you'd like to. Don't forget to draw in a back neckline. If you want sleeves, then now would be a good time to trace out that sleeve pattern. I actually ended up tracing out a sleeve pattern, but I didn't use it because I didn't have enough fabric, as you will soon see. Once you've cut out your front and back pieces, feel free to make any off-the-cuff adjustments. For example, I added a dipped hem to both my front and back top pieces. If you're using a fabric that doesn't fray, you can follow these instructions perfectly. If you're using a fabric that does fray, like mine, you can see how I corrected my mistake later. So what you want to do is to place your fabric right sides together and sew the shoulder seams and the side seams together. If you're using a stretch fabric, I recommend using a zigzag stitch so you retain that stretch in your fabric. So this is what my top looked like once I'd sewn the front and back pieces together. And I absolutely loved it. I just loved the way the print fell, the fact that the fabric flowed slightly, and I generally liked the shape. Only thing was, I had this much fabric left for sleeves. So back to the drawing board. I looked at how much fabric I had left and decided that maybe I could have tried to make some butterfly sleeves. So to do this, I measured along my shoulder and along my chest to see roughly how long the butterfly sleeves needed to be. I thought 8 inches was a good length for a sleeve, so I created a semicircle with a diameter of 16 inches and cut out this shape on fold. So I had 2 sleeve shaped pieces. I then proceeded to hem the outside of each sleeve by sewing a straight stitch along the outside of each sleeve and then using this stitch as a guide for where to fold over again to tuck the raw edges out of the way. So I ended up sewing 3 lines of stitches because I would sew the guide seam line. I sewed down the fabric the first time, and then I folded over the fabric once more so that the raw edges were truly tucked away. This is what my hem looks like when it was done. If your fabric's a bit wavy, don't worry, just iron it out and it will become flat and beautiful. You also need to hem the top side of the sleeve. I didn't hem it twice this time, I only folded it over once. It was at this point in the process when I considered how much my fabric frays. And because it frays quite a bit, I actually decided to undo all the stitches that I'd sewn so that I could hem all the edges and make a neck facing so there'll be no raw edges whatsoever for my garment. So to make the neck facing, as you can see here, I got some fabric with a similar amount of stretch, i.e. no stretch at all, and I traced out the shape of the neckline onto that fabric. I then ironed on some interfacing to this trace of my neckline, and then I sewed the facing and the bodice right sides together with a straight stitch. Once this was done, I understitched the facing down onto the wrong side. To make French seams, place your fabric wrong sides together and sew along one edge. Trim away the excess fabric and then fold the fabric right sides together and sew along the inside edge, making the hem as small as you can possibly make it. This gives you this lovely hem where there are no raw edges anywhere. Then you can go ahead and just sew together the shoulder seams and try it on your top for fit. My top looks pretty much exactly the same as before I put in, the French seams, but at least now there's no raw edges anywhere and it will survive the washing machine. I then went about trying to figure out where to place my sleeve. When it comes to positioning your sleeves, it's all up to you. For one of my sleeves, I decided to pin the sleeve all around the armhole, and for the other sleeve, I decided to pin it down the front and back of the top to see if there was any change in how flowy the sleeve was. As you can see, there really wasn't. To hem the skirt, all you have to do is fold over the fabric twice and fold over the fabric by about 1 inch each time, and then sew a straight stitch along the closed edge, and then you're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's a pleasure to be making videos again, and I'm looking forward to sharing so many new projects here with you. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel, and please comment below on the things you would like to see. I love exploring clothing, design, fabric, so hit me up and I'm ready for you guys. See you guys soon.